Chapter 561. The Second Day. In just a few minutes after Rhea sensed her formations destroyed, the people on guard spotted countless magic beasts rushing over in City J base's direction. The number was even more than before, and just looking at the sea of magic beasts coming over, the guards felt weak on their legs. They quickly called over the soldiers, who were still busy cleaning the magic beasts' corpses, to go back to their post. Loud siren rang loudly in City J base. The people who were staying in the underground shelter didn't have time to go back and could only huddle back once more. They were terrified. If they couldn't fend off the magic beasts this time, then it was estimated that the entire City J base would be destroyed. This was something that many people didn't want to see in their entire life. Drap, 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 damn. Here I thought that I would be able to eat Sophia's full-course meal. Amelia felt regretful when she thought that she could not eat Sophia's cooking before departure. It was rare to be able to ask Sophia to cook for them. After all, Sophia usually only cooked for the sake of her pets and so on. Sophia, who was following Amelia on top of Kaze, her horse-like magic beast, was speechless. "Don't think that I'm your chef, Amelia. Hehehe. Stop laughing." Seeing these two were still unserious in the face of the upcoming magic beasts, Rhea could only shook her head. She had the feeling that these two people were trying to move on, and the best way for them to do this was through jokes and laugh. Because if they didn't do this, they might not be able to come out of their haze of losing their friend. Bang! 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 Hearing the machine gun starting, they both knew that the battle had started. Samuel was standing on the platform, watching the magic beasts coming over calmly. He didn't make a move just yet because it was not necessary. From the back, the girls and the others had also arrived. "You three sure take your time," Reuben complained when he saw the others had arrived. "Come on. It's time for our battle." "I know." Swish. Bang. With that, they started fighting once more, and Rhea stayed on the back. Mo also joined in the fray and used his claw to kill countless magic beasts that came over. If she's truly a magic beast, her action didn't really look that strange. After all, Sophia was also staying on top of Kaze, ready to run away if necessary, and only Akira was busy zapping a magic beast with the lightning strike from time to time. "You want to watch the battle?" Samuel asked. "All the formation has been broken," Rhea said calmly. "Even if I want to go there, there's no way for me to go." "All?" Samuel keenly heard Rhea's words, and there was chill in his heart. There were a total of 13 cracks, and if all of them were destroyed, the number of magic beasts coming over this time is going to be very large. City J base might not be able to survive in that situation. "Yes." Rhea nodded as she looked at the magic beasts coming. "But millions of magic beasts have died under the formation yesterday, so I don't think that there will be an overwhelming number of magic beasts today." Samuel looked at Rhea with confusion. How did Rhea knew so much when she was in the base and didn't pay a visit there? It was not like Samuel paid attention to Rhea all the time, but he knew that activating a teleportation formation would cause mana fluctuation. Unless Rhea set up a formation to hide it, then he would never know. But from what he could guess, Rhea also needed to rest last night, and there was no time for a night travel. What a joke. Even he was exhausted after fighting the giant rock golems. If he still has time to run around in the middle of the night, he will truly be a superhuman. Or perhaps robot. Swish. "How come you two still have time for a date during this time?" Dina walked past Samuel on the way to the other walls and looked at the two people speechlessly. Samuel, who wanted to ask more, froze, and he looked at Dina coldly. "If you have time to gossip, I think it's better for you to go back to your wall and protect the base." Dina clicked her tongue. "There's no need for me to fight yet. These soldiers could handle it for the time being." With that, Dina jumped up and landed on the platform. She ignored Samuel's group, who were still fighting alongside the soldiers, and instead looked at Rhea beside Samuel. Not long ago, Jonas came to her with the report about the few people around Samuel. One of them was about Rhea. To be exact, it was about the fact that there was a beast tamer coming from outside and had close relationship with Samuel. After seeing Rhea and Samuel talking while the others were fighting, she understood that their relationship should be quite special. "So you're the person who came yesterday night?" Dina asked and looked at Ria up and down. She didn't recognize Ria as she had never met with the other party before. But for some reasons, when she saw Ria, she felt that the other party was really dangerous. A beast tamer? Yes. Ria looked at Dina in front of her and her eyes narrowed slightly. A demonic magician was hard to kill because they have various life-saving treasure. And for those of extremely high ranking, even a drop of blood could be used to revive them. This made it really hard to exterminate these demonic magicians. Thankfully, Ria realized that Dina didn't recognize her. Well, in the first place, is it even possible to recognize her when she had never with the other party in that world? Chapter 562. The second day, 2. Dina. Samuel stood in front of Ria and narrowed his eyes. "I don't think it's your business who I come with here?" "Tisk." Dina sneered. "Seeing you so protective." This is the first time genius swordsman Samuel. Samuel's expressions didn't change even when he heard Dina used his nickname. This was the name he was famous for in that world. After all, he always fought with his sword and his strong offensive means had caused a lot of people headache. They could defend against his attack, and comparing who was faster between them, the answer would be Samuel. Fast and powerful. That's how it is for Samuel. "It's time for you to work, Dina." Samuel remained calm and composed in front of Dina, but his posture of standing in front of Ria never changed. Behind Samuel, Ria blinked her eyes and looked at Samuel's back. She never thought too much about Dina's provocation. Moreover, Dina was only a rank 5 demonic magician, which was far from comparable to her. There was no killing intent from Dina. At most, it was provocation towards Samuel because she found the situation amusing. So Ria didn't have much malice towards Dina or anything like that. In fact, she only felt somewhat amused, though she had no intention of making a move. Because Ria wanted to keep her identity a secret, she planned to just watch them. But seeing Samuel stood in front of her, for some reason, she felt warm in her heart. Because Ria understood very well that the main reason why Samuel stepped up was because he knew that she had no plan to reveal her identity. In this way, it would be better to keep her behind and not let her do anything. Tisk. Dina saw Samuel like this and clicked her tongue once more. She knew that Samuel was protective of his family members, but he would not be so excessive. Because in that kind of world, everyone knew that they had to grow up and able to protect themselves if they wanted to live. If they overprotected someone, the other party might not be able to grow up properly and not ready to face the challenge that was about to be thrown to them. But now, Dina felt that Samuel didn't seem to care about this matter in the slightest bit and only cared whether he could protect the girl behind him properly. "You should know that overprotective is not good. I don't need you to teach me." Dina shrugged and then went to the other side. Samuel watched until Dina left and sighed. "Leave her be. She just liked to meddle in other people's business. Isn't it because people in despair could become demonic magician faster than others?" Ria replied in a low voice. Samuel shrugged and didn't say anything. He knew very well that those who chose the path of the demonic magicians were those with various intention. But one thing for sure, many of them became one for the sake of revenge. They didn't care about their future whatsoever, so they didn't mind even if this meant that they would die once their time limit was up. It's outrageous for her to hope that the returnees could become a demonic magician. Ria. True. All of them had reached rank 7, at least that was what they had figured out so far, so there was no way they would try to switch their path again. Not mentioning the arduous path they had to take when they restarted their training, the future path was full of unknown things. They have already walked on one of the paths. Why should they pick another path again? Unless they were crazy enough. Bang! In front of Samuel and Ria, Amelia peeked behind and grinned. She had the feeling that the time when her brother had to pay for her snack will come soon. On the other hand, Sean was too busy with fighting that he didn't notice the commotion behind. Bang! 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 All of the returnees have headed to their place yesterday. At this stage, there was no need for them to make a move because there were no other rank 7 magic beasts like those giant rock golems yesterday. If there were any rank 7 magic beasts, then they would start to make a move. Dina made her way to the platform, thinking about Ria and Samuel. She had only seen Riya's appearance for a while, but she didn't recognize the other party. To be honest, she was thinking whether the Runemaster would come with Samuel. But there were many famous genius Runemaster in that world. She didn't even know which one was the one who came from the green planet. And that is if their age were even true. After all, after reaching rank 7, their appearance would look harmless. They could also alter their appearance to be older if they wanted to through some methods. It was fairly easy. "Why are you here, Peter?" Dina was still thinking when she saw Peter was already standing on the platform where she was yesterday. "I'm here to help. Go to the south wall." "No, those magicians from the Magic Association are already there." Peter shook his head quickly. In that world, the magicians were relatively cool and so on. But in this world, even Peter couldn't stand these magicians from the Magic Association's performance. Dina saw Peter's behavior and smirked. "So you don't like those magicians from the Magic Association? Do you like them?" Peter countered. "Those stupid magicians from the Magic Association will never be a true magicians." Dina snorted. She also has magic spells, but she was definitely different from those magicians from the Magic Association. At least, the embarrassment from the magic spells that she used was only 1% of theirs. Bang! Screech. Hearing the loud sound, the two of them looked at the distance and saw several flying magic beasts rushing over. Giant dark sparrow. Peter's face changed. "You sure attract a lot of magic beasts, Dina." Chapter 563. Giant dark sparrow. "That is not my intention." Dina's face was also dark. While Dina knew that taking the special magic core will definitely attract magic beasts' attention, she didn't expect that they would also came to City J base to chase after her. Should she say that these magic beasts were very persistent? She thought that those giant rock golems were already the highest-ranked magic beast that will come to chase after her. But who could tell her why there were also giant dark sparrows? And their number was not small. "Have you used the special magic core you took?" Peter asked. "How do you know I took the special magic cores? There's no other reasons why these magic beasts will come otherwise. Didn't you also say it when I was present yesterday?" Dina, she forgot. "I only took 2, 1 from each formation," Dina replied and then frowned as she thought about something. The formation in that place might replenish the special magic core, but she didn't take them again afterwards because the magic beast's riot that happened was really troublesome. But even if she didn't take it, it didn't mean that there wouldn't be someone else who took it. If it was true that she took it, then these giant dark sparrows and the giant rock golem's appearance made more sense. Because these magic beasts were attracted by the appearance of several special magic cores and the chaos because of that formation. As for why she didn't take more, that's because Dina didn't understand formation. Come on, who would understand those strangely whirly writing? Just looking at those scribble gave her headache. Dina definitely didn't want to start learning about runes or anything like that. Those without any talent in runes would never be able to understand those runes. "There are giant rock golems coming too." Peter looked at the distance and felt that these magic beasts were really malicious to them. From giant dark sparrows and then giant rock golems, it was simply not giving them any chance to live. "Leave that one to Samuel. I'll deal with the giant dark sparrow." Dina glanced at Peter and sneered. "As for you, you should just be a meat shield, honestly." "Peter," he sighed and simply jumped down to face the giant rock golem. In any case, it was also true that he didn't have any other skills but to fight on the front line because he lacked any long-distance attack. Bang! Bang! Dina ignored Peter and looked at the giant dark sparrow coming towards them. Her expression turned solemn as she started to chant. "I am the Lord of the Darkness. May the darkness come and form a weapon in my hand. Be the strongest spear for me. Darkness is the greatest power in the entire world. Dark spears." Swoosh! Swoosh! Several dark element spears appeared in front of Dina and then rushed towards these giant dark sparrows in the distance. Thud! Thud! Screech! Some giant dark sparrows fell down because of Dina's attack, but the rest of these giant dark sparrows remained in the air. Dina could only grit her teeth and used the magic spells over and over while calling the soldiers to use the sniper rifle. Even if the bullet could not really harm the giant dark sparrow, it could provide some cover for her. Bang! Meanwhile, Samuel ignored those giant dark sparrow and focused on the giant rock golems that came to them. He was not surprised to see them and simply started to use his move once more. Slash! The lightning strike directly cut off the giant rock golems into two. Rhea saw this and sighed. As expected of Samuel. Your attack is really sharp and can easily deal with these giant rock golems. You're not bad either. Samuel chuckled and then looked at these giant dark sparrows with a frown. He did have some long-distance attack skills, but it was not very convenient to deal with so many giant dark sparrows. After all, his powerful attacks were usually single target. Rhea seemed to see Samuel's dilemma and said, "There's no need to worry about the giant dark sparrow. You just have to deal with the giant rock golems." Right after Rhea finished speaking, there was the sound of arrows streaking in the air towards these giant dark sparrows. Stab! 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 Several arrows hit these giant dark sparrows directly and they fell down from the air without any resistance. Samuel saw this and could guess that this was Ruth making her move. The corner of his lips curled up. "You're right. I'm not alone here." Bang! 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 Tisk! Ruth saw these giant dark sparrows and felt that they were really troublesome. Even though she could kill these giant dark sparrows, but if they were to come too close, City J base will definitely fall. There was no doubt about this. Continue with the firepower and ask for reinforcement. Ah? Why are you so dazed? These giant dark sparrows are all rank 7 magic beasts. Ruth yelled. Only the returnees could possibly deal with these giant dark sparrows and others would only become nothing more than cannon fodder. But the problem is, it was not that easy for them to deal with so many giant dark sparrows. But, the commander saw Ruth's face darkened and could only contact the higher-ups as quickly as possible. To be honest, all the reinforcement that could be sent were already here, and there were no one else they could send to help. But he couldn't say this to Ruth. It was estimated that the situation is really dangerous, and if they didn't do anything, these giant dark sparrows would go on a killing spree. "Sir, we need reinforcement." "There's no other reinforcement coming. The last one is a small batch of soldiers from City A base, but they couldn't help fighting against rank 7 magic beasts." Ruth, who was beside the commander, could hear the voice from the phone loud and clear. Chapter 564. Giant Dark Sparrow, 2. "No help, huh?" Ruth repeated. She didn't seem to be surprised at all that there were no other reinforcement that Continent Z could provide. After all, there were not that many returnees. At least, as far as she knew, there were only a few of them. Most of them from Continent Z were already here and busy fighting against the magic beasts. Could she hope for them to send more? Where's Murin? The last one who was not here yet was only Murin. The higher-ups said that he will come yesterday, but even if they waited until nighttime, Murin didn't appear at all. It seemed as if he didn't want to come in the first place. Though Ruth would not be surprised if that was the case. After all, this was a man who dared to wage war with the entire world in that world and then got destroyed because he was not strong enough. His magic beasts were still weaker than the top figures. If not because those who were several realms higher didn't want to bully the younger generation, he would have died long ago. As for the specific treason, Ruth didn't know either. All she knew was that once they reached a certain rank, they would not interfere too much with the fight of those who had much lower realm. Perhaps it was because their every move could change the fate of countless people. After all, even a rank 7 magicians could destroy an entire city in one go. It was terrifying. Murin is busy fighting the magic beasts in other areas, the commander replied cautiously. Busy? Ruth sneered. She felt that this was just an excuse made by Murin and the Magic Association. But since this was what they said, then she would have to believe them, at least on the surface. Bang! 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 No matter what they were all thinking, they could not stop these magic beasts from making trouble. Moreover, the number of the giant dark sparrows continued to increase over and over again. It seemed as if more and more magic beasts were released out of the crack. The formation is really useless. Rhea looked at the large number of giant dark sparrow and felt that she was simply wasting her time with those formations. But at the same time, if these giant dark sparrows had appeared yesterday, it was estimated that they would not be able to survive either. Because these returnees were already exhausted yesterday. They fought with their all, and the only thing they could do was to fight again and again. Bang! 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 The battle continued, and Rhea sat beside Samuel, watching the battle in the distance without any intention of making a move. At least that's the plan. There were more and more giant dark sparrows coming out, and Rhea also frowned. The number of giant dark sparrows were too many, and both Dina and Ruth couldn't deal with them in time. She saw Peter jumping up and down in the distance, but he couldn't help much either. After all, Peter also lacked long-distance attack skill. "Brother, they're coming," Amelia yelled in panic. "Don't worry." Samuel saw these giant dark sparrows coming over, and his expression turned solemn. Swish! Slash! The nearest giant dark sparrow was killed instantly. There were others that was a bit further away, and without using any magic spells, he could not kill them. After all, these giant dark sparrows were also rank 7 magic beast. The difference is that these giant dark sparrows had weak defense, so even Ruth and Dina could deal with it. Boom! Rumble! Rhea turned around and saw that a giant dark sparrow had fallen on a building, and the soldiers were hurriedly urging their gun to shoot it down. Even if they knew that it was useless, they could not let the giant dark sparrow wreak havoc in City J base. Ah! The people have been evacuated in advance, but there were still soldiers around. They were caught in the attack of the giant dark sparrow as it spit out dark element balls around him, killing the few soldiers nearest to it. Rhea watched the scene, and her mind went blank for a moment. Tisk! Samuel clicked his tongue and quickly turned around. The sword in his hand moved to the giant dark sparrow on the back. Slash! Thankfully, the defense of these giant dark sparrows were not too big. In this way, he didn't have to consume so much mana and aura to defeat it. But the large number of giant dark sparrows would still be very difficult to deal with. Damn it! Now that there were no more giant rock golem, there were only many giant dark sparrows in front of them. Samuel started to switch his target towards these giant dark sparrows, but it was hard to fight when they had to protect the base behind them. Bang! Bang! Boom! Once again, an explosion sounded in the distance. Rhea could hear the shout, cries, and curses in the distance. It was clear that these 3 people were all trying their best to protect City J base behind them. The construction of the base itself took a long time, and there were many people in the shelter. Even if the shelter was safer compared to these buildings, it was still not the best. In the end, they had to defeat these giant dark sparrows first. Ah! It's really annoying. Rhea saw the large number of magic beasts coming over. The soldiers were distracted by these giant dark sparrows that managed to bypass their line of defense and destroyed some buildings. They couldn't do their work properly. Rhea jumped down from the platform and simply raised her hand. The protective rune circle was drawn quickly, surrounding her. The next moment, she crouched down and then took out a rank 6 magic core and muttered, "Up!" Swish! Swish! Everyone was stunned when they saw a layer of light appeared around City J base, protecting it tightly.
Chapter 565 Protective Formation.
Samuel looked back and saw Rhea, who was still crouching on the ground. With the protective rune circle around her, there wouldn't be anyone who could hurt her even if the formation was broken. No, it seemed that this was a protective measure against people inside City J base. After all, no one knew if there was someone with other intentions. This is not City A base where all the soldiers were picked carefully and everyone would not hurt the returnee, because they all understood that these people were the ones who had protected them so far. But this is City J base. The water is mixed here, and there was no guarantee that some people would not attack them when they were vulnerable. It was frustrating, but it was also the truth. It was also because of this that they could not put down their guard completely when they were here. Swish! They could see the thin layer of barrier all around City J base. When these giant dark sparrows tried to break through, they were blocked with powerful force. Screech! The angry giant dark sparrows flew over. They could feel that their attack was bounced right towards them, which made them even more enraged. And the moment they were distracted and had to retreat it a bit, the attack from the other returnee had come. Jleb! An arrow pierced through the giant dark sparrow's heart, and it fell down to the ground with a loud thud. Ruth looked at the barrier around her and her eyes flickered. Everyone was within the barrier, but their attack didn't hurt the barrier in the slightest bit, as they could still attack the magic beasts outside. This is a one-way barrier. To make this kind of formation that would allow one side to attack and the other side to defend is by no means something that could be made so easily. In that world, this kind of formation was usually used as the trump card of some guild or families. I didn't expect to see such a barrier again in this life. Ruth calmed down. With the barrier protecting City J base, there was no need for her to worry so much about the situation of the base behind her. This meant that she could focus on fighting against these giant dark sparrows outside. As for other lower-ranked magic beasts, they could be handed over to the soldiers. These? What are these? The commander not far from Ruth was stunned when he saw the thin layer of barrier. The barrier was not completely invisible. Instead, they could see a thin layer of glass-like things surrounding the entire City J base. There was a faint hue of blue on the surface, but not enough to change the color of the environment outside. It was beautiful. Can't you see it? It's a formation. Ruth readied her bow and arrow once more. A formation that completely protected the base. Zing! Jleb! More giant dark sparrows fell down under Ruth's attack. The commander was silent as he looked at the formation in front of them. His mind was in a mess. Even he could guess that the rumored Runemaster should have come and followed Samuel to City J base. Among the few people who came with Samuel, one of them is the Runemaster. The commander sighed deeply. He felt that the higher-ups were really bold to send the Runemaster here. Considering that Dina was also here and had inexplicable obsession with the strong, she would not be able to accept seeing more and more strong people around her. But forget it. City J base's situation is more important. Other people in various other bases nearby had been evacuated, and this City J base could be said to be the front line. Their main task right now was to buy time. Otherwise, Samuel and the others would not have been sent here. I am the Lord of the Darkness. May the darkness come and form a weapon in my hand. Be the strongest spear for me. Darkness is the greatest power in the entire world. Dark spears. Thud. Thud. Several giant dark sparrows fell down from the sky following Dina's magic spell. She looked at these giant dark sparrows coldly and then glanced at the shield around her. As someone who returned from that world, there was no way Dina didn't know about the formation and so on. Even demonic magicians could also use runes, all right? Of course, that didn't include her. Dina didn't have any talent in this field, and she didn't want to force it either. After all, Dina had fully understood that if she forced herself, what awaited her would be an extremely gruesome memorization days. Since she has no talent, she would not pursue this matter. But, so you really bring the Runemaster here, Samuel? Dina sneered. The higher-ups really wanted to protect City J base. Or it might be because there were many people behind them who were still evacuating. The people in City J base was basically the last batch to be evacuated should something happen. It was simply because there were still her and many other returnees here. Now, I won't lose against you. Be *starred. Bang! 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 As these giant dark sparrows fell down one by one, Samuel turned to look at Rhea and saw her calm expression. He understood that with this action, Rhea had officially declared that she will stop hiding and so on. Previously, there were only a small number of people who knew Rhea's identity because she made a move when they were in that crack. But from now on, there will be many people who knew about her. Samuel chuckled and then looked at the distance. Since she's behind him, protecting the base, he will focus on dealing with these giant dark sparrows and other magic beasts. Being able to fight to his heart content, it's really pleasurable. Lightning strike. Bang! 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 Chapter 566. Protective Formation 2. Bang! 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 With the three people completely focused on offense, their attack power reached new heights. These giant dark sparrows were completely killed without being able to fight back in the slightest bit. Blow after blow rained towards them, and they were killed from one of the three methods. At the same time, The soldiers could also focus on exterminating the magic beasts without the need to worry about their safety. Everyone fought hard. Ria saw this scene as she watched these people fighting and took a deep breath. Through controlling the formation, she could see the entire situation of City J Base. The battles, the magic beasts, and even the blood seeping on the ground. Thankfully, I designed this blood formation. These magic beasts outside will be used to maintain the formation. When Ria saw the pile of magic beasts' corpses outside, she has already started planning. Because Ria knew very well that for such a large-scale formation, one of the hardest things to provide is the power, or in other words, the mana. After all, her own mana is limited, and continuing to use her own magic cores would cause her wallet to bleed too much. So the option was to use the blood and flesh of these magic beasts that died outside the formation. However, the formation that could use their blood and flesh directly to transform into mana was not that easy to make. If it was a small-scale formation, Ria could finish it quickly. But when the scale was as big as this base, it took her half an hour to figure out the runes connection and so on before drawing it. Otherwise, the formation would not work. Now that she's still controlling the formation, Ria could sense that the formation was already drawing a lot of mana to maintain its operation. But it'll not last long. The magic beasts that died outside has variety of ranks and completely uneven. It would be unrealistic to make sure that the mana they converted to would be able to last for a long time. Otherwise, Ria would not have taken out a rank 6 magic core in the beginning to start the formation. This could ensure that even if the mana coming from these magic beasts were uneven, it would still last for some time. But I don't think I need to worry that much. Seeing more and more giant dark sparrows fell because of the attack of the 3 returnees, Ria shook her head. These magic beasts were not their opponents, and the giant dark sparrow had weak defense. Only Peter was busy cleaning up other magic beasts because these giant dark sparrows were outside his attack range. Bang! 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 Time passed quietly. Ria stood still on her place and no one dared to get close. The protective rune circle around her was more than enough to tell them that she was not a person whom they could handle. And Ria didn't really need to do anything else. The other magic beasts were eliminated by the 3 people. After a while, all giant dark sparrows were killed, and then some giant rock golems appeared, including the giant rock golem's king that clearly wanted to take its children back. But with Samuel there, the giant rock golems couldn't really do anything. The bright light of sword attack came towards the giant rock golems, splitting it into 2. The other giant rock golems were either eliminated by Dina's dark element magic or by Samuel's sword. Looking towards Dina's side, Ria could still hear the song sung by Dina. Her voice sounded good. I am the Lord of the Dark. May the darkness come and envelop the entire world. Block every ray of light. Descend onto the world and cover every surface in the darkness. Darkness is the greatest power in the entire world. Let the darkness come. Dark world. That was a rank 5 dark magic spell. Seeing countless magic beasts fell from this magic spell, Ria nodded to herself, not feeling it strange in the slightest bit. This was because she knew the power of this magic spell was indeed really high. Being used by Dina, her mana caused even greater destruction. I should modify the magic spell to suit Ruben. Well, I can do it later. It'll take some time for him to reach rank 5. In this way, the battle on the second day was not as fierce as the previous day. This was mostly because these people all focused on attacking. Their opponents could never get close to them unless they actively went out of the formation. But who would be so stupid? Since there was already a formation here, they had to make use of it to the fullest. When it was evening, no more magic beasts came. All this time, Murin didn't come in the slightest bit. It seemed that the Magic Association never thought about sending him to City J Base. Though it was quite reasonable if one thought about it. After all, there were many people who hated Murin here, and if he came to City J Base, he would have to face them. No one knew what kind of destruction would take place once that happened. And when the magic beasts decreased, the formation also flickered and then dissipated. The rest of the magic beasts were weak and didn't really need the formation to help them clean them up. Ria jumped up and landed on the platform once again. She looked at her friends who were still fighting and then at Samuel. It seems that the battle this time is not that bad. They managed to increase their skills, yes. Samuel nodded and then looked at Rhea helplessly. And I think you can't hide your identity anymore. It's fine. I'm prepared. Rhea showed a reassuring smile. It was impossible to hide her identity for the rest of her life. So Rhea was prepared for the day when they found out about it. Besides, she had nothing to fear. Runemaster, I want to challenge you. Chapter 567. Challenge. Rhea. Samuel. The two of them were speechless when they heard the sudden challenge. Turning their head to the side, they saw Dina had already arrived on the edge of the platform and looked at the two of them with glare. Rhea saw Dina's expression and silently wondered whether she had done something to offend Dina in the past. After all, Rhea was sure that she really hadn't done anything. Are you sure you want to fight right after you have just finished fighting? Samuel interrupted. They have just fought all day long to clean up the magic beasts this time. I'm not tired yet. Dina's eyes focused on Rhea. She felt that she was really stupid for not recognizing Rhea as a Runemaster. Even though she didn't know that Rhea is a Runemaster, but she should have guessed that Rhea is a returnee. Because there was no way people other than returnee could possibly give her such a strong sense of danger. She should have guessed that Rhea is also another returnee. Damn it! Feeling annoyed, Dina wanted to challenge Rhea right away. Rhea looked at Dina and then tilted her head. Forget it. With your current attack, you can't break my defense. She had seen Dina's battle before. When controlling the formation, she has the privilege to be able to see the situation from all areas within the formation, so she managed to see Dina's battle. But Dina is still only a rank 5 demonic magician. With such strength, it was impossible to break Rhea's protective rune circle. Don't look down on me. Dina's face was dark. At this moment, Peter came and looked at Dina, who was on the verge of exploding. He felt that Dina might not be able to hold back anymore and needed to vent her emotions soon or it would be bad. I'm rank 6, Dina, Rhea said quietly. Dina was stunned and then snorted. She thought about the special magic core within the crack and then asked, Do you take those special magic core? Rhea only smiled. She would not answer this. Thinking about the possibility of Rhea taking those special magic cores from the crack, but there was no magic beasts tied in Cydia base. Dina felt unbalanced once more. Why she could take those without any disturbance, but she has to face the attack of these rampaging magic beasts. It was really unfair. The formation stated that there's a limit to how many times you can take it. Be it taken by humans or magic beasts who passed by. Once you crossed a certain limit, you'll be trapped by the formation from the moment you touched the special magic core, Rhea kindly reminded. Dina's face was dark. As expected, there was a trapping formation there. She had some uneasiness when she saw the formation, the pillar, and the special magic core in the beginning. But because she needed to get stronger faster and increase her mana quickly, Dina took her chance to take the special magic core out. In this way, she managed to reach the peak of rank 5. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for her to advance without consuming a lot of magic beast's blood. And taking magic beast's blood was not that easy even for Dina. Even if she has the experience in that world, but it was a completely different thing. Dina knew very well that it was completely impossible for her to absorb the magic beast's blood all the time. The mental pollution made it difficult for her to increase her mana quickly. So when she saw the special magic core, she was really tempted. It was a chance for her to increase her mana without taking magic beast's blood, and it was really harmless. As for the marking that would appear on their body, who cares about it? It seems that you have thorough understanding of the formation. Dina looked at Rhea and narrowed her eyes. But that didn't matter to me. What I want is for us to compete for a while. Compete? Rhea rubbed her forehead and then pointed outside. There was a clearing where there were no magic beasts because it was either absorbed by the formation or it was destroyed by Dina's magic. Let's settle in one attack. If you can defeat my protective rune circle with your magic, then you win. Anyway, Rhea didn't think that the magic spell from Dina could defeat her. You're really arrogant. It's called confidence. Dina snorted. But she also knew that this condition was very favorable to her. In that world, she had destroyed countless protective rune circle. Just destroying another one would be easy, right? Deal. With that, Rhea nodded and glanced at Samuel and Peter. Seeing the two of them had no objection, the two of them jumped down the platform. Samuel looked at the two people who were walking away and then asked, "Are you not going to warn her about Rhea's formation? Is there any need for that?" Peter asked back. "She will not listen even if I say anything." Samuel was silent. Well, it seemed to be true. Seeing the two women were getting ready to fight, he shook his head and chose to forget about it. Considering Dina's headstrong personality, she would not listen from others. As for Rhea's defense, looking at the formations that could defend against those giant dark sparrows perfectly, Samuel felt that it was impossible for Dina to break the defense easily. "Ready?" "Yes." Dina looked at Rhea and then immediately chanted, "I am the Lord of the Dark. May the darkness come and envelop the entire world. Block every ray of light, descend onto the world and cover every surface in the darkness. Darkness is the greatest power in the entire world. Let the darkness come, dark world." Bang! The dark element swished towards Rhea and she did nothing but to watch it. The protective rune circle was still active. And the next moment, she was completely submerged under the dark element. Chapter 568. It's scary. Amelia watched from the platform and trembled when she saw the two people who fought. She had seen Dina's attack because that dark world's magic spell was such a big area of attack. The scene where the dark element completely swept over the field was very clear in their mind. It was really domineering and powerful, and naturally very destructive. Nothing remained after Dina's attack, and this was something that everyone could see very clearly. "Will she be all right?" Sean asked with a frown. Facing that kind of attack, he was not sure that anyone would be fine. There were many magic beasts that had fallen under Dina's attack not long ago. "She's fine." Samuel could sense that Rhea was perfectly fine. Having fought side by side with Rhea for a long time, Samuel knew very well that the protective rune circle that Rhea had was more than enough to protect her. He didn't know how she modified it, but it was able to block even peak rank 6 magic beasts' attack. Compared to them, Dina's attack was not even half as powerful. Of course, this didn't mean that Dina was useless. When fighting against relatively weaker magic beasts, she would still be able to fight back pretty well and would help them greatly in a battle. Swish! The dark element receded. Dina looked at the front with some anticipation, but her expression froze when she saw the faint runes circle that had started to appear. As more part of the protective rune circle could be seen, Dina frowned. Her fingers were clenched to form a fist. At this moment, Dina could clearly feel that Rhea was really strong. Even without her doing anything, the protective rune circle alone was more than enough to protect her from her attack. Felt a bit frustrating. She was fighting with all she got, but she couldn't even make the other party serious. "All right, the battle is over," Rhea said with a faint smile and then walked back to the gate. She could see that there were still many soldiers looking in her direction and tried her best to ignore the gaze. Being under the spotlight has never been pleasant. At least not for Rhea. She felt as if she was under scrutiny of many people when she approached the gate. This made her really want to run away if it was possible. But running away won't solve this problem. Perhaps if she had worn a mask, it would be possible to hide her identity. But Rhea didn't want to hide forever. There was no point in hiding, and there was nothing to hide either. It was just, being looked by so many people still felt uncomfortable. "Tep, you're amazing, Rhea." Amelia immediately jumped to Rhea and hugged the other party. "You really need to teach me how to do it. That way I can also I can also protect others." "Rhea, did you just accidentally reveal your real reason why you want to learn?" She looked at her best friend speechlessly. For some reasons, she had the feeling that Amelia was not being serious at all. "Stupid. You're not a Runemaster. How can you learn that protective rune circle?" Sean mocked from the side. He knew very well that the protective rune circle was not so easy to make when he heard his brother explained it before. So when he saw Rhea used it, He only felt that it was convenient, but he had no intention of learning. He's a magic warrior, not Runemaster. Rather than expecting himself to be able to learn other people's specialties, it would be better for him to focus on other things that could help him get stronger. You're such an annoying brother. Amelia's face was black. There should be a way for me to learn it, right? If there's anyone who could learn among us, it would be Reuben. Hearing this sentence, Amelia turned her head to look at Reuben, who was standing not far from them. Reuben arched his eyebrows and grinned. Master had agreed to teach me after I reach rank 5 because this can only be done by rank 5 Runemaster or above. Below rank 5, their mana was not enough to form a complete protective rune circle. And if the protective rune circle was not complete, the defensive power would be full of holes and easy to be defeated. This was one of the reasons why Rhea gave him a requirement if he wanted to learn it. That's not fair. I want to learn it too. Amelia started to make trouble. Rhea looked at Amelia helplessly and said, I don't think you can stand memorizing so many runes. Also, your mana control is not up to standard. Mana control? When Rhea mentioned that, Amelia froze and then recalled her training before. Even though Amelia and Sean were both training their mana daily, but their training didn't make much progress, because it was difficult for them to accomplish what Rhea said before. Afterwards, there were also the follow-up training that their brother arranged for them. It was not so easy. My mana control has gotten better. Amelia defended weakly. Rhea shook her head in amusement. Forget it. Without any talent as Runemaster, you might spend a few minutes to make the protective rune circle. No enemy will be willing to let you draw the formation for so long. Unless it was a sparring, they would never let their enemies finish their move if it was possible. After all, what they wanted was to win a battle at all cost because a real battle would be a battle of life and death. If they were not careful, they would not be able to get out of the battle alive. It was not something that they wanted to happen in the slightest bit. Amelia tilted her head. How long does it take for you to finish drawing the formation? Me? A few seconds are enough. The others? So fast? Chapter 569. They all knew how complicated the protective rune circle is. When Rhea first showed it to them, she had explained that the protective rune circle basically contained several formations functions inside. It would be really difficult for them to guess how many formation was mixed together, but each of them complement each other. Defense, counterattack, recovery, and so on. With so many formations mixed together, a protective rune circle usually took a long time to make. Samuel also explained to them that other people's protective rune circle were usually simpler compared to the one that Rhea made. As for why, it was because Samuel could see that Rhea's protective rune circle had the function of replenishing mana. This function was not so easy to make, especially for a moving formation like the protective rune circle. From what he knew, replenishing mana would disturb the mana airflow outside the formation, so they have to make sure that the mana absorbed by the protective rune circle would not cause instability of the mana concentration around it. Once the mana concentration was disturbed, then the protective rune circle might fail directly. So Samuel could say that Rhea's protective rune circle was really high-end. Not many people would be able to repeat what she made. Despite the fact that the protective rune circle was really complicated, Rhea could finish it in seconds. This made them really felt that the cruelty of the world. The difference between people is really bigger than the difference between people and dogs. Stephen couldn't help but complain. Woof! Of course we're different. Sophia's lips twitched when she heard what Melly said. I don't think my brother meant it that way. Woof? Is what? Melly looked at Sophia in confusion, but Sophia only patted her dog's head. She understood very well that Stephen was saying that the difference in their abilities with Rhea was really large. Couldn't be helped. With Rhea, Samuel, and those returnees at the forefront, they completely understood that it was impossible for them to catch up with them. These people were simply the pinnacle of the geniuses in their respective field. Just when they thought that they could surpass the other party, they would come up with others' ways and crush their pride. Is it really possible to draw the protective rune circle in such a short period of time? Reuben asked quietly. He was already taught the other formation by Rhea, and when he thought about combining those formations at the same time, Reuben honestly didn't think that it would be possible for him to draw it within half an hour. Yes, it is possible. Rhea nodded seriously. When I first started, I can only finish drawing in 1 minute, so I practiced over and over again so that I can draw the protective rune circle faster. The others, 1 minute, they had the feeling that Rhea was simply here to give them a blow. Samuel heard this and coughed. Well, Rhea, I don't think that there will be many Runemaster who could compare with you. He felt that he truly underestimated Rhea's talent. To be able to draw so many complicated runes in 1 minute, her talent was simply monstrous. But the biggest question was why he had never seen Rhea in that world before. No matter how Samuel thought about it, he could not think of any Runemaster with the same features as Rhea who was famous. It was as if she was not there at all. But from Rhea's words, Samuel knew that she was indeed there. Perhaps she was hiding, right? Rhea nodded and didn't make things difficult for the others either. Let's go back or help cleaning up. You can technically take the magic beasts that you killed. They all looked at the pile of magic beasts that was unrecognizable with black lines on their faces. How are they supposed to find the magic beasts they killed specifically from this pile? It seemed that finding needles in a haystack would be a much easier task. Just help the soldiers to clean up and don't think too much, Samuel said. Anyway, you can't really eat these magic beasts. Many of their species are those you can't eat unless you want to die. Even though he was busy fighting with those giant dark sparrows before, Samuel still paid attention to his siblings and friends. He naturally saw that most of the magic beasts they fought were those that could not be eaten. Besides, the formation had sucked out many magic beasts' corpses outside. In this way, the number of the magic beasts' corpses had decreased significantly. That's too bad. Amelia sighed. Well, let's try to find one that's still relatively intact. I'll cook for you tonight, Sophia said with a frown. Deal. With that, Amelia jumped down and the others were stunned. Wait for us. You're a cheater. All is fair in love and war. Rhea looked at the group that was messing around and laughed lightly. She felt that Amelia was really funny when she was not burdened with various matters. After that, her eyes moved towards Dina, who was still standing outside. It seems that the blow I give is not small. She's just too proud for her own good. Samuel shook his head and then said, Let's go back first. You don't seem to be too comfortable here. Well, I'm not used with so much attention on me, Rhea admitted with some embarrassment. She was not afraid when facing those giant dark sparrows and even other magic beasts. But when facing so many people who were looking in her direction, Rhea felt that she was a bit nervous and uncomfortable. They're looking at you because of your ability and position. Samuel showed a reassuring smile. Don't worry too much about it as you will get used to it. Of course, you can also run back to your residence to avoid their eyes. Run back? Rhea looked at Samuel speechlessly. Chapter 570. That's an option you can take, Samuel said with a shrug. Rhea could only sigh and nodded. Well, that was indeed an option. I don't know why you choose to reveal your identity when you have a choice not to do that if you're uncomfortable with the attention. But since this is your decision, I'll respect it and it's better for us to go back now, Samuel said. Okay. Rhea nodded in agreement. The two of them quietly left as the soldiers were still busy cleaning up the magic beasts' corpses. At least, cleaning up what remained after the battle. That was truly a big battle and there were not much spoils that they could take from this battle. Their biggest gain was only some giant dark sparrows' corpses that were killed far away from the formation. Those nearby had all been sucked by the formation and used as mana source. Dina stood still on her place. She didn't stop Rhea from leaving because she understood that there was no point in stopping the other party. The battle had already told her, loud and clear, that Rhea is someone out of her league. Her skills were pathetic and she should stop having unrealistic thoughts. It was really annoying. Dina took a deep breath, calming herself down. It was not like she had never lost in the past, but this was the first time she lost so completely that she felt that she's really weak. Even though the cruel path as a demonic magician should have allowed her to become much more powerful earlier than others, Dina felt that it was simply impossible for her to catch up to Rhea. Calm down. Dina took a deep breath. Her mind was stirred from the battle, but she would not let it destroy her. And it was not like she would not have any other tricks if she continued to get stronger. This is just a temporary setback. Hey, Dina, Peter called out as he also jumped down. He had no interest to stay with Samuel and Ria, so he came down to take a look at Dina's condition. From the moment Dina challenged Ria, he knew that she would lose. But seeing the scene firsthand was clearly very different from thinking about it before. What do you want? Dina looked at Peter and frowned. To be honest, she really wanted to beat up this annoying man again. Whenever she saw Peter, the only thing she wanted to do was to beat him up. Well, not physically. With her magic, it would be easy to toss Peter around. If you want to spar, you should have asked me. I will definitely make a memorable battle with you, Peter complained. You? Dina looked at Peter up and down. She sneered. Your aura will not be able to defend yourself from my attack. What are you going to fight me with? When they were fitting before, Peter kept on avoiding her when she started to use her magic. After all, when she used the large-scale magic spell, it basically spread out to cover up a wide area. This made it difficult for the allies to retreat if they wanted to. Thankfully, Peter was basically the only person who fought against the magic beasts in close combat. So when Dina started to use her magic, he would avoid it far away through using his own strength. Anyway, getting away from her range was easy as long as they were not right in front of her. Don't be so mean. I can still fight if necessary. Peter chuckled. Did you forget that aura can restrain magic to a certain degree? Dina's eyes narrowed. Both magicians and warriors have their own advantage and disadvantage. For example, magicians were usually weak in terms of their physical strength, while the warriors were usually unable to fight in a long-distance battle. But this didn't mean that they couldn't hurt each other. Magic could restrain aura to a certain degree and vice versa. Because of that, if the two of them were to fight a real life and deaths battle, it was not known who will win in the end. Unless necessary or they were mortal enemies, they would not usually attack their peers. Well, demonic magicians were exception. They often attack other magicians or magic warriors for the sake of the other party's mana. Even if you can restrain the attack temporarily, can you be fast enough to launch an attack? Dina asked back. Your chant is long. I can fight without chants. Chants were not completely necessary for those who were already higher ranked. All lower-ranked magic spells could be cast instantly for Dina. Only those at higher levels still required chants because she couldn't control her mana that well. The chants, no matter how outrageous they sounded, helped to guide the mana inside their body. It was through this method that they managed to become powerful. Later on, they would get used to the route that the mana passed and the fluctuation that it needed for them to cast the magic spells without the need to use the chants anymore. That was when instant magic spell was born. Of course, not everyone could use instant magic spell. For some people, their mana control was not good enough. In order to ensure that they would not fail casting their magic spells, they chanted in full. On the green planet, these chants were usually accompanied by songs. Don't ask her why. But Dina suspected that it was because song lyrics were easier to remember compared to those embarrassing words when said as a full sentence. Yes, you can, but from what I know, the instant magic spell you can use are only lower-ranked magic spell. Peter shrugged. Dina saw this and black lines appeared on her forehead. For some reasons, she really wanted to beat up Peter so bad that he could not continue to mock her like this. Chapter 571. Do you want to extend it to a lifetime? Even if demonic magicians have lower mana control than ordinary magicians, it was not like their mana control was so bad, alright? Dina was really angry. You be asterisk starred. Dina, you're killing me. You deserve to die. The soldiers all turned a blind eye to the chaos that Dina and Peter made outside. Ruth watched the scene for a moment before nodding to the others and then went back to rest. The battle was quite tiring and it would be better to rest. Who knows if there will be more magic beasts tomorrow. Riaz sighed. Now you're wearing robe? Samuel saw Ria taking out a robe and looked thoughtful. No matter what, I'm still a Runemaster. The reason why I put aside the robe before is to prevent others from recognizing me. Ria put on the robe with smile. After seeing the quality of the materials from the Martial Arts Association, Ria asked Peter to put forward her request. She also wanted to make some special clothing that was added with runes for battle. So she have some shirts, pants, and naturally robe. For this robe, Ria made sure that she added all the highest protective runes that she could add. It was to the point that the materials nearly broke due to mana overload. Thankfully, it held on. Does the material really good? Samuel asked. Well, it's using the fur from rank 4 and rank 5 magic beasts, so it's pretty good, Ria replied. The few rank 7 magic beasts we met didn't really have soft fur. Samuel, the first rank 7 magic beast they encountered was a lich, which was a rank 7 magic beast. After that, they encountered a sea magic beast, but because of the environment, they chose not to provoke that magic beast. The magic beast had advantage in water while neither of them were particularly good at it. Afterwards, they did see a few other rank 7 magic beasts within the crack, but none of them seemed to be easy to challenge. Moreover, they were not exactly furry type of magic beasts. And now, the 2 magic beasts they encountered were that giant rock golem and the giant dark sparrow. No matter from which direction he looked at them, he knew that neither of them could be used to make clothing. If we have better luck in the future, we might be able to get better materials, Samuel said. Ria glanced at Samuel and nodded. Don't worry too much. It's not that important. It took her a long time to finish making this one robe. If she has to make another robe, it would take a long time. Anyway, this robe was enough to protect her to a certain degree. At least, anyone below rank 7 would not be able to hurt her. Yes, Samuel nodded. The 2 of them made their way to the guest house and Ria said, I'm going out tomorrow. So soon. I don't think that I'll be able to stand staying here with so many people staring, Ria replied weakly. She was not used to fame and didn't think that it would be good for her to stay in City J base. With so many people staring and so on, Ria felt that her movements would be restricted. Or well, she simply felt uncomfortable. After all, Ria was not used to have other people stare at her every move. Are you bothered with the fame? Samuel asked slowly. Ria nodded. What bothers you? Well, I'm used to be an ordinary person you can't even find in the crowd. Ria scratched the back of her head and smiled faintly. Not many people will pay attention to me, and for me, not having to deal with so many people is comfortable. Rather than standing at the forefront, Ria felt that it would be better for her to be mixed in the crowd. Being inconspicuous really felt much more comfortable. But this was just Ria's opinion. Samuel rubbed his chin thoughtfully. To be honest, he was already used to be showered with attentions. Ever since he was young, he had to learn various things including etiquette because he had to meet with many people. Because of this, Samuel would pay attention to his image in public. In the beginning, it was indeed a bit stressful. But afterwards, he got used to it. Anyway, he didn't do anything wrong and these people only came to him because of his identity. All he had to do was simply to act in accordance with his identity. What are you afraid of? No matter what they think of us, it can't affect us in the slightest bit. Samuel chuckled. Just think of them as looking at you because you're really cool and all you have to do is to act as yourself. Ria blinked her eyes and then smiled. You're really good at handling such matter, are you? It can't be helped. I have to deal with the media's attention ever since I was young. Samuel spread his hand and then looked at Ria. If you're worried, you can pass their attention to me. Pass it to you? How? Lend me your hand? Ria was puzzled, but she still stretched out her hand. Her eyes widened when she saw Samuel held her hand and then continued walking as if nothing happened. As Samuel said, the attention of the people were moved away from her to Samuel, to be exact, to their hands. Is this not good? Ria stammered. Why not? Samuel asked with a chuckle. There's nothing wrong with my action, is there? But, or do you not want it? Want what? Ria raised her head in confusion and saw Samuel looking at her intently. This attention made her fidgeted once more, but after taking a deep breath, Ria calmed down slightly. She knew that Samuel has been accompanying her for a long time after the world changed. And then, do you want to extend it to a lifetime? Rhea pursed her lips and held Samuel's hand tighter as they continued to walk.
Chapter 572 bet.
Samuel smiled at Rhea's reaction. Even though she didn't say anything, he felt that it wouldn't take long for him to get her answer. Before that, they could focus on their work first. Behind Samuel and Rhea, Amelia was following her brother sneakily along with the others. Sean felt like kicking his sister out. He was really embarrassed for having such a sister like this. But since he's also curious, he still followed her to spy on their older brother. Cough. "You owe me a month's meal," Amelia said smugly as she looked at her younger brother. Sean's face turned dark. "Isn't it a week? It's a month." "No, they're not together yet." "I don't care. You owe me snacks for a month." Sean felt like kicking his sister very badly right now. Joan patted Sean's back and said, "It's just snack and not all of her meals. It's not like she ate that much, right? Just snack?" Thinking about the fact that their appetite had increased along with their strength, Sean felt like facepalming. If he could go back to the past, he would not make a bet with Amelia for this ridiculous thing. After all, their brother's lifelong matter was not of their concern. But he just had to meddle in this matter. Should he say, "Deserve it"? Sigh. "Fine. I'll pay for your snacks," Sean grumbled. Even though the snack would exclude the usual meal that Amelia eat, but Sean could clearly see that his wallet would definitely suffer with Amelia's appetite. Being a magic warrior required them to eat a lot. Amelia beamed when she heard Sean's words. She didn't have to hold back on eating for next month. Arnold looked at Amelia quietly and then remarked, "You have to be careful so that you won't get fat." Amelia froze and then she yelled, "A magic warrior will never turn fat. What if?"
No.
"That's not going to happen." Seeing the two people quarreling about this matter, Sean froze and scratched the back of his head in confusion. Even if you can convert more mana, but it didn't mean that your body would not digest the excess food and nutrition. So you still need to be selective in what you ate. But neither Arnold or Amelia heard his words. They were too preoccupied in their war of words.
Bisaid sean, Joan Stephened.
Thinking about it, she seemed to have been eating a bit too much lately because she wanted to practice faster. What if she also get fatter? The others? So we're only here to follow Master and Boss? Reuben asked in confusion. He felt that he was wasting time listening to Amelia's nonsense. If he had so much free time, it would have been better for him to go back and replenish his mana so that he could draw more talisman. This magic beast's tide had almost cost him all of his magic scrolls. If he didn't draw more, he would not have anything that he could use for battle. That will be disastrous for him. For a Runemaster, no magic scrolls and resources could be fatal. So Reuben wanted to go back and replenish his resources as fast as possible. It seems so. Stephen also felt helpless. He was happy for Samuel, but he was not so gossipy that he would want to stay here and watched as his friend spreading dog food. No matter what, he's also a single dog, alright? Too much dog food is not good for his digestion. But no matter how Stephen complained in his heart, he knew that he was asking for it by following Amelia and Sean to follow Samuel. He's really stupid. This pair of brother and sister has never been serious. Can Rhea understand his intention? Sophia asked quietly. She felt that Rhea might be a bit dense. Moreover, the two of them seemed to have cooperative relationship more than romantic relationship. I'm sure she could. Master is not stupid, Reuben said righteously. Sophia, this matter has nothing to do with IQ. Seeing that the others also planned to separate and go back to their respective place, she didn't plan to argue about this matter either. I'm going back first. I need to stock up my resources. With that, Reuben swaggered away. He had run out of mana, but he needed to make more magic scrolls. Otherwise, fighting with only drawing runes on the spot. He's not Rhea. Such high-intensity battle was definitely impossible to do for him. I want to rest too. Stephen rubbed his forehead. He used a lot of magic in this battle and felt that his head was throbbing a bit. After all, his mana was exhausted and then he had to use his mental strength to focus when fighting. In the state of double exhaustion, the uncomfortable feeling became even more obvious. I want to prepare some food for my babies. Sophia looked at her pets and nodded thoughtfully. The others? Right, she was the only one who was basically staying on the back. No matter how much Sophia tried to train her body, she would not put her life in danger. So she was basically staying on the back and didn't do much. Even when the magic beasts got close to her, Kaze, the horse-like magic beast, would always brought her away from danger. So it could be said that Sophia is the most idle person on the battlefield. Everyone could say that they were envious. Who didn't want to be strong without the need to do anything? But seeing that Sophia was clearly treating her pets as her kids, it seemed that not having to take care of a lot of pets seemed to be a good option. Let's go back. Stephen patted his sister's shoulder helplessly and dragged her back. He felt that his sister was simply a master in terms of attracting hatred. At the very least, he could see that there were several pair of eyes that was looking at her unkindly at this time.
Chapter 573, bet 2.
The group went back on their own. Sean, Amelia, Joan, and Arnold also went back after following Samuel for a while. The reason was simple. There was a message on their phone. Brother is a devil. Amelia looked at the message on her phone and wanted to cry. Why did she have to triple her training? Her own training was already a lot since she didn't relax much in the past few months. But now it was clear that Samuel wanted to increase the degree even more. And I'm implicated by you. Sean has an expression of pain when he saw the message on his phone. He also has to train with his sister, and he had no doubt that this was because the two of them were following Samuel and Rhea just now. Considering the fact that Samuel's senses were greatly heightened as a magic warrior, there was no doubt that he should have known that the two of them were following him, and he was not happy about it. You're the one who made the bet.
No.
Aren't you the one who proposed it? I thought it's you. No, it's you. The sibling forgot who proposed the bet in the first place, but they knew that it was because of this bet that they paid more attention to their older brother's relationship status. Of course, they could see that it didn't seem to be that long. Sean has been convincing himself that his older brother was not thinking that way. After all, there were many businessmen whom Samuel had met in the past. Some of them were also women. But Samuel never paid much attention to them after the cooperation was over. Now, Rhea should be the same, right? But after he saw Samuel taking Rhea's hand, Sean felt that his brother had changed. Well, it was more like his brother had come to a decision that he would spend the rest of his life with the other party. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any reason for Samuel to be so close to her. Sean could only accept his loss. He knew that the two of them were most likely hadn't established a relationship with each other, but it was only a matter of time. Unless Rhea refused. But, seeing their interaction, Sean honestly doubted that this kind of thing could possibly happen in the future. Come on, let's go back to rest. Arnold pulled Amelia and reminded her. Yes, brother Arnold. Amelia immediately agreed. Arnold looked at the energetic Amelia and poked her forehead with his finger. Aren't you tired after such a long battle? Go back to eat something and then rest. There's a possibility that there might be another battle tomorrow. Another battle? Thinking about the long battle today, Amelia felt a bit annoyed and didn't really want to repeat it again. But at the same time, she also understood that it was impossible. Whether they fight again or not depended on those magic beasts. If they still think that the battle is not over yet, they would definitely come to make trouble. It was really annoying. Right? Sean sighed and also felt tired. Now that he thought about it, they have fought all day long and their mana was exhausted on the battlefield over and over. During the time when their mana was exhausted, they would stay back and let the others fight instead. But these soldiers basically didn't rest. Well, they also only attack with those machine guns, but operating the machine guns still required a lot of stamina and all. After all, the recoil was quite strong. The soldiers also had to take turns controlling it to ensure that they killed as many magic beasts as possible. So after they agreed to gather tomorrow, everyone dispersed. City a base. The battle today was destined to be remembered by many people. It was especially true by Mr. Jones. For them who were far away from City J base, they could only see the battle through the satellite and the video that was given to them. Through the camera, they managed to find out that the situation was really not very good. millions of magic beasts rushed over to City J base, forming seas of magic beasts. As for the reasons why these magic beasts coming, they had known that the main reason was because of Dina's action. This also gave them headache. As much as they wanted to make Dina responsible, they also knew that it was impossible for them to push her too hard. If they do that, it was estimated that Dina might be turned to the opposite side without hesitation. At that time, who are they going to cry to? Thankfully, Dina conscientiously gave up on her reward share from the battle. This was one of the few good things that happened this time. But this was not enough. Those people would not think it would be enough for Dina to only give this much. But this matter was for them to think and not for him. What Mr. Jones was thinking was the huge formation that Rhea activated. That formation perfectly protected City J base from the Magic Beast's invasion. And she also designed a formation in City A base. Mr. Jones thought about the formation plate that Rhea gave to him and couldn't help but laugh. With this formation plate, City A base's safety in the future would be guaranteed. Unless there were extremely strong magic beasts, it would not be able to break through their defense. But after this, she'll definitely enter the eyes of many people. Mr. Jones sighed. His son had turned off his phone, but Mr. Jones couldn't do that. He had to deal with the call of these annoying people who wanted to take Rhea away. How annoying! Rhea sighed. The night passed by peacefully. When the sun rose again the next day, the soldiers were relieved that there were no more large scale of magic beasts appearing. Chapter 574. Dinner. Do you think that the magic beasts will still come again? Samuel asked as he came to Rhea's guest house. No. But what are you doing here? Rhea looked at Samuel in confusion. He lived next door and this is technically her guest house. I'm here to borrow a breakfast from you, Samuel replied. He couldn't cook and Rhea herself also couldn't cook. But Rhea had the jade dolls preparing food in her world, which she could simply take out when she wanted to eat. With her basically instilling various recipes into the jade dolls programming, it could cook various delicious dishes. So much that Rhea herself felt comfortable. Added with the fact that the magic beast's meat that she used were all rank 6, it was simply the best delicacy. For Rhea, whose mana would not increase much through eating magic beast's meat, it could still help her to increase a very small amount of mana. Most importantly, it's delicious. After knowing that Rhea could make arrangement for her jade doll to cook because Samuel had seen it, he felt that Rhea's life is really comfortable. No matter what she wanted, she would always be able to get it one way or another. On the other hand, he was useless aside from fighting. This made him feel that he should learn some other things soon. But before that, it's time to borrow some food from Rhea. The food that I have in my space is only roasted meat, Samuel replied helplessly. Even though he tried to use various seasoning when preparing the roasted meat before, but it was still roasted meat in the end. Samuel really couldn't stand eating it all the time. I can feel that. Rhea smiled bitterly. In that world, she also ate roasted meat for a long period of time because she was traveling. Considering that food in restaurants were really expensive, Rhea could only process the magic beast's meat on her own. With her cooking skill, the only thing that she could do was to prepare more seasoning for the roasted food. From sweet, salty to using sauce, at least there were some variety. Also, I brought some giant dark sparrows' corpses. Samuel handed over a magic scroll to Rhea. These are killed by me a bit further away from the formation, so they're still intact. Since they were killed by sword, Samuel unceremoniously took them. For this matter, the people in City J base didn't dare to have any opinion at all and leave him be. They still have a few other giant dark sparrows' corpses that were killed by Dina before. Since Dina had given up any reward from this magic beast's tide, the people in City J base unceremoniously took them for themselves. As for how painful Dina felt, it was not their business. The last few giant dark sparrows' corpses were killed by Peter. He was busy negotiating with the people from Martial Arts Association to let him eat the meat. As for the bones and other parts, it could be handed over to the Martial Arts Association as he had no interest in them. In this way, these giant dark sparrows' corpses were divided. Are you sure? Rhea asked. These giant dark sparrows were killed by Samuel and not by her, so Rhea didn't think that it would be appropriate for her to eat it. Moreover, the meat of these giant dark sparrows were not very delicious. If it was not because of the large amount of mana contained within the giant dark sparrow's body, it was estimated that not many people would even want to take a second look on it. But because it is a rank 7 magic beast, well, a lot of people are drooling. Yes, Samuel nodded. I can't cook it, so you can let your jade dolls do it and then we'll eat together. Rhea was originally planning on eating the food that the jade dolls had prepared in her world. But after hearing Samuel's words, she could only nod helplessly and took out a jade doll to process these giant dark sparrows' meat. Taking the space storage scroll, Rhea arched her eyebrows when she saw the abundance of giant dark sparrows' corpses inside. You sure kill a lot, Rhea commented. I don't have to worry about anything and can focus on attacking, so of course I can kill more. Samuel chuckled. It was rare to be able to focus on attack all the time. But with the formation that Rhea set up, Samuel really didn't have to worry about anything else and just focus on fighting and killing these giant dark sparrows. For him, it was really pleasant. Cooperation with Rhea has always been very good and Samuel himself liked it very much. Though Rhea seemed to like to hit him with the fact that he was useless aside from fighting. Well, he couldn't exactly refute that. It was the truth. That's good. Rhea smiled. Samuel nodded and sat down. The two of them were basically waiting for the jade doll to finish processing the meat. How confident are you in the fact that those magic beasts will not come again? Samuel suddenly asked. Rhea said that she wanted to leave tomorrow, which meant that the magic beasts would definitely not come again. Ah, it's because I have killed most of them, Rhea replied calmly. When she set up the formation, she added a formation afterwards that would transfer all of the magic beasts' corpses when the formation crumbled. In this way, those magic beasts would not be wasted. She had killed them, why couldn't she use them? Of course, the place where she transferred them was still in the crack, in the area that she had set up other teleportation formation before. But these were only magic beasts' corpses that were not used up by the formation itself to turn into mana. Ha! Samuel arched his eyebrows and then smirked. It seems that you're quite confident in the power of the formation you set up. Chapter 575. Dinner 2. Rhea smiled at Samuel's words. It's a formation that could even kill rank 6 magic beasts. How many magic beasts do you think can survive? Except for the giant dark sparrows and some other relatively powerful magic beasts, it was simply impossible to survive from that formation. This was something that Rhea had known very well.
Rank 6 formation.
Samuel nodded when he heard Rhea's words. It was not surprising that she had such confidence after setting up such a high-ranked formation to deal with these magic beasts. But these rank 7 magic beasts will start appearing. These giant dark sparrows has weak defense that Dina can even deal with it. But once better rank 7 magic beasts coming out, the situation wouldn't be that good, Samuel said slowly. Indeed, Rhea had seen it as well. Among the 3 people, Samuel, Dina, and Ruth, the one with the lowest attack power was definitely Dina. Even if they didn't want to admit it themselves, it was the truth. Ruth was quite similar to Samuel in regards to her offense. She's basically a type of person who only knew how to attack and her magic power was basically increasing her arrow's attack power. But Dina is an all-round demonic magician. She learned various magic spells, from attacking magic spells to defense and even recovery. Because of this, it was impossible for her to focus on improving her magic spells. What Dina has been using so far were magic spells that had been taught in her family for a long time in that world. It's powerful, yes, but it's not to the extent where it surpassed the norm. They were just like other magic spells. Well, of course, don't compare their magic spells with those used by the magicians from the Magic Association. Since they were practically practicing the children's version, that might have gone crooked at some point of time, the mana usage was not efficient enough. Because of this, the power was not comparable to the real magic spell. Speaking about magic spell, Rhea did think about helping them. The problem is, she only knew very few magic spells because she didn't use them. The highest ranked magic spell that she knew was only a rank 3 magic spell and she didn't know much. For her student, Stephen, he would have to learn on his own. Even Reuben himself only learned a few magic spells. After all, he had to reserve some mana to make runes in the middle of battle. It's because the formation dragged all the stronger ones to come up. I guess neither Dina or Ruth clean up the magic beasts inside. Rhea speculated helplessly. The magic beasts within the crack around City Base were cleaned up by Rhea and Samuel a few times. This was because they knew very well that the stronger magic beasts will definitely gather and came out of the crack to the outside world. Since she had taken the special magic core, Rhea chose to take it upon herself to clean up the crack. Aside from some troublesome rank 7 magic beast, the other magic beasts were basically killed by her and Samuel. Some magic beasts rank 3 and below were left alone as they could be used by others to train. The two of them couldn't babysit everyone behind them. There were too many cracks and they could only focus on the one in front of them. They were simply not powerful enough. They're too reckless. Samuel shook his head and then said, "But I think they didn't even consider this option." After all, thinking about others was something that Samuel has been taught because it was ingrained in his bones. He wanted to protect his family members, and for that, a stable society would be necessary. At least, these people would be the first to bear the impact should something happen. And he himself would definitely stand on the forefront. In that world, his family was also the same. They taught him that his power was not taught to him for him to show off or anything like that. Instead, it should be used to protect the people around him. Of course, he could have other aspiration. For example, trying to seek the truth of magic or anything like that. But Samuel was not very interested in such grand and complicated theories. For him, it was already more than enough to become stronger and able to use his power well. "Is it?" Rhea asked back and then pursed her lips. "Or they might be too scared for their lives and choose to stay in City Base. Scared? It does take courage to enter the crack and explore it, for there might be opponents whom they could not beat. At that time, their only option would be either to run away or to fight to death. Because they all knew very well that their strength has limitation. Besides, this is technically our third lives. Who would want to waste it by doing something dangerous?" Samuel chuckled. "Walking on the path that has been tested before and known to be safe. Isn't this what humans used to do? The unknown is scary precisely because it's unknown." The crack represented a brand new world. A completely different place where danger and opportunity coexist. If they didn't even dare to take the first step, how could they possibly face other challenges thrown to them? Also, and I don't think that they're cowards. For them to be able to get the special magic core, they should have entered the crack and practiced too, Samuel said. But it's possible that they didn't dare to go too deep because they're alone. Alone? Rhea thought about Ruth and Dina for a moment before nodding helplessly. Considering the personality and relationship between those two women, it seemed to be completely impossible for them to cooperate together. In that case, they could only enter the crack by themselves. Yeah, there was no way they would risk their lives that way. Chapter 576. Cleanup. Rhea knew very well that when she was not strong enough, she herself didn't dare to go too deep into the crack. At that time, she stopped after the magic beasts around her had become rank 3 magic beasts because she was only rank 4 Runemaster. That was because she knew that if there were many rank 3 magic beasts, a rank for magic beast might appear. Her strength was indeed quite strong, but if she has to fight by herself for a long time, Rhea had to say that it's impossible. She's not so powerful that she could ignore everything. It was only after she reached rank 5 that she dared to explore the crack again. But even then, she brought Samuel along, because his attack power would help her a lot when eliminating the magic beasts. With him helping her to share the burden, it could be said that they could proceed to go deeper into the crack easily. If she has to go alone, her progress would definitely be slower. And no one else but the Runemasters have the ability to create and use teleportation formation. In this way, others would have to stay in the crack for a long time and retrace their way back. Both Rhea and Samuel had explored the crack for a long time, and even then, they could not say that they have explored everything. There were some parts remained untouched. You're right. It's too dangerous. Rhea sighed. When you say that you want to leave, do you mean that you want to help them clean up the magic beasts? Samuel asked. Rhea nodded and smirked. Anyway, I can use these magic beasts in my formation and then convert them into mana. Some higher-ranked magic core could be used to charge formations. Rather than letting them gather and accumulate again like this, isn't it better to clean them up for once and for all like what we did in City Abase's cracks? Seeing the evil smile on Rhea's face, Samuel smirked back. While they have not cleared up all magic beasts in City Abase's cracks, they had cleaned up most of the magic beasts there. In this way, the remaining magic beasts would be easy to deal with by the soldiers and other lower-ranked magic warriors. Now that they were here, why not repeat this again? It seems that these people will be unlucky to have us cleaning up this area. Samuel laughed. You mean Dina and Ruth? Rhea asked and then tilted her head. I don't think Ruth will care that much, while Dina, I can't say for sure. Considering that Dina is a demonic magician and that she used the magic beasts more than humans. She might feel heartache when most magic beasts were cleaned up by Samuel and Rhea. But the two of them didn't exactly clean up all the magic beasts down there. After all, it was impossible. Though Rhea felt that if they had cleaned up the magic beasts, even if it was only a little bit, the magic beast's tide would not be so severe like this. She could guess that Ruth didn't care too much about the magic beasts' corpses. So she was a bit lazy in cleaning up these magic beasts in the first place. You're right. Ruth wouldn't be that concerned about it. Samuel thought about it from this perspective and shook his head. I think that this is already pretty good. Since they didn't want to take care of it, we can take advantage of the situation. Take advantage to hunt more magic beasts? Rhea felt that their definition of taking advantage was a bit odd. Rhea noticed the jade doll came and receiving the message it sent out. She knew that the food was ready. Come on, the food is ready. There are also some rice that I add plus some additional dessert. Samuel smiled at Rhea's invitation and followed her without hesitation. The matter of that magic beasts were not something for them to concern themselves over. If anything, it was those higher-ups who would have to take care of this matter. After all, it was a fact that the main cause of the magic beast's tide was because of these returnees' direct involvement. As for other places, neither Samuel or Rhea had time to care about it. Continent Z is a large continent spanned millions of kilometers wide. If they truly wanted to care for every single place in Continent Z, they would exhaust themselves and possibly fall in the middle. Rather than doing such a thankless thing, it would be better for them to focus on smaller area and, if possible, expand it when there was a chance. This City J base was only one of them. After the dinner together with Samuel, Rhea took her time to set up a teleportation formation and then used the magic beast's core to teleport to the place where the magic beast's corpses were located. Splash! Seeing the sea of red blood on the ground, Rhea raised her head and looked at the mountain of corpses in front of her. So there are still many that couldn't be used to maintain the formation. Rhea pursed her lips when she saw this and guessed that they were outside the range of the suction formation. The formation should have worked well if these magic beasts were close to it, just like how those magic beasts around City J base were all used as mana source by the formation. But these magic beasts were in a distance away. The only reason why they could be teleported was because her teleportation formation that she set up to activate automatically would cover up a large area below the crack. Oh well, I'll just use it all up for my world. Rhea smiled faint and then swept her hand, bringing all the magic beasts into her world. These were still very useful for her. Chapter 577. Tempted. All rank 4 and below magic beast's body immediately disappeared after entering Rhea's world, while the rest were kept. The rank 5 and rank 6 magic beast's corpses could have their meat used for meal. Tasted more delicious. Moreover, they could also help her increase her mana. Albeit the improvement was less than 0.001%. But it was still better than ordinary food. A mage has much more mana than magic warrior. At this stage, the difference is no longer only 10 times but more. Rhea felt the mana inside her body and sighed deeply. She knew very well that relying on magic beasts to increase her mana would not go well. But this was not important right now. With this harvest, the world can expand. Should I make more mana stone? Rhea could sense that the mana concentration in her world continued to increase. She pursed her lips as she sensed her connection with the world. If she continued to feed the world with so much mana, there might be a time when the world would be outside her control because she was not strong enough. It seemed that she had to work on her own training as fast as possible. City A Base. Today, there were no more magic beasts in City J Base. Mr. Jones saw this and felt relieved. He knew very well that if there were no more magic beasts, his children could relax and didn't have to fight hard. Yesterday's battle might not look dangerous because there was a shield protecting them. But Mr. Jones knew that the formation would not last long. Rhea had told them before that in order for a formation to operate, there had to be a source of mana. The source of mana are usually a mana stone, but since there was none, it could be replaced with the magic cores. And the mana within the magic core was not inexhaustible. It will run out sooner or later. Because of this, the cost of opening a large-scale formation was really big and no ordinary people dared to open it at normal times. Even Rhea herself felt pain for the resources she has to consume. Mr. Jones, there are calls from the capital city. Mr. Jones heard this and sighed deeply. He knew very well that it would be impossible for him to run away. He could guess what they wanted to ask the most. The call connected. A screen appeared in front of Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones, I believe you know about the formation that appeared in City J Base not long ago, Mr. A said directly. The people from the capital city has been watching City J Base's situation. Aside from doing their own work, they were basically busy monitoring the situation there. Because if City J Base fall, the surrounding bases and even the capital city might be impacted. But the scene they saw made their eyes turned wide in surprise. Because they didn't expect to see such a large-scale formation being deployed. And this formation was very useful because even rank 7 magic beast could not come in. How could they not be tempted? They wanted it so badly. But they also knew that coming to Rhea directly would definitely not work. She didn't like interacting with the officials, and the last time, she simply handed over everything to Samuel. And talking with Samuel was like, they wanted to curse that black-hearted businessman. So after some discussion, they decided to come to Mr. Jones. Because they knew that while Mr. Jones is a businessman, but he was not as outrageous as Samuel and would be more willing to listen to them. Yes, I know about that formation, Mr. Jones replied. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how she set it up or how much powerful it is. But she has told me about the protective formation that could basically protect an entire city. A formation could be big or small depending on what they wanted. If they needed a big one, they just had to expand the scope and then made some adjustment. A formation at the size of the entire city existed. But maintaining such a big formation would be hard to do. And Rhea had her own way to make the formation would last long in City A Base. It would also be their best defensive method when facing threats that could destroy the entire base. I see. Mr. A nodded and then asked, is it a one-time formation or can it be used repeatedly? If the formation is not damaged, it should be repeatable, Mr. Jones replied. When Rhea set up the formation in City A Base, she had told Mr. Jones that after activation, as long as the walls were not destroyed, they should be able to use it again in the future. But at the same time, once the formation was damaged, only Rhea could possibly repair it. This was obvious. No other Runemaster could reach Rhea's height for the time being. It's good. Mr. A's voice sounded satisfied. For this matter, Mr. Jones didn't have anything else to say and simply waited for Mr. A to say a few more words. But one thing for sure, it would be impossible to hide Rhea's identity after this incident. Thinking about the work that he had to do later, Mr. Jones felt headache. Be prepared. The impact of this magic beast tide will also spread outside. There would be more people knowing about the situation in Continent Z. Mr. A reminded and then cut off the connection. More people knowing? Mr. Jones sighed deeply and rubbed his forehead. He knew very well what Mr. A meant was that there would be more people who knew the existence of the returnees from Continent Z. Now that Rhea had already appeared on the surface, there might be people who wanted to poach her. Sigh. It seemed that he had to work on security measure first. Chapter 578. Other returnees. Long distance away, Continent W, near the border with Continent Z. Mr. Nolan, there's a message from the higher-ups. It's about the other returnees in Continent Z and Continent Y. A soldier rushed over. Yes? Is there any big movements on those places? A man in his early 30s looked up in confusion. His hair was messy and he wore a thick glasses with one of his hands still holding onto a reagent bottle. The soldier was clearly terrified when he saw the bubbling liquid from the reagent bottle. Mr. Nolan, please put down the potion. Don't be such a coward. The man, Jonas Nolan, chuckled and looked at the bottle in his hand with a smirk. I have finally made the perfect reagent that could explode. It's simply perfect. The soldier, please don't test it here. In the past few months, everyone had started to get used to Jonas Nolan's existence and the fact that he would be experimenting with various medicine and so on. Unfortunately, it was hard to use medicine to increase his rank quickly. After all, the herbs that he could gather in this world was really limited. If he really wanted to advance quickly, the only thing he could do was to try his best to gather some other herbs that contain more mana. The green planet's surface clearly had no such thing. But entering the crack, he didn't want to die yet. He could only explore the periphery and didn't dare to go too deep. All right, give me the information. Jonas Nolan stopped teasing the soldier and took the information that was given to him. The main reason why this was not sent through the internet was to prevent the spies from infiltrating and snatching the information away. Though, in Jonas Nolan's opinion, this information was worthless. For these returnees, it didn't matter who the other party is. All they needed to know was the other party's profession and ability in general so that they could think of a way to deal with them. Runemaster, female, image unclear. Jonas Nolan muttered under his breath as he read the information and shook his head. There were not many famous Runemaster in that world, especially those around their ages. After all, there were too few people who have the talent to become Runemaster. But this information confirmed that there was a Runemaster in Continent Z. Continent Z sure have a lot of returnee. Jonas Nolan yawned and then laughed. I'll be waiting for the day to meet her. A Runemaster is also not that easy to deal with, especially if the other party had already incorporated Runemaster's method into battle. At that time, it would be very difficult for them to fight against someone who could make formation while moving around, because some formation could leap in levels. There are originally 2 returnees in Continent W, but Ruth just have to be in Continent Z when the incident happens. It seemed that if there was any competition between continents, there was no way Continent W would be able to win. But then again, there was no way that these returnees would be able to compete with each other when they were still busy fighting against the magic beasts. Which one among them would be willing to fight against other returnees when there was no benefit to be gained? They were not those demonic magicians who could get their opponent's magic heart and mana to strengthen themselves after their opponent's death. So for them, if they could not conflict with each other, it would be the best. Well, it didn't matter. Come here and just help me to gather more herbs. Mr. Nolan. The commander who watched this scene facepalmed when he saw Jonas Nolan was already busy with his potion making again. It was clear that Jonas Nolan didn't seem to care about the other returnees. The ambition of the higher-ups in Continent W was destined to not be heard by Jonas Nolan. Forget it. There was no point in thinking about it. How those people would convince Jonas Nolan to fight against other returnee was another question that they had to think in the future. He only needed to watch over Jonas Nolan and help to protect him, because Jonas Nolan was really reckless. When he was busy with his research, he basically forgot about everything else. Long distance away, Continent X, one of the larger islands. Another returnee has been found? A gloomy man looked at the screen in front of him. Continent X is a continent consisted of several islands forming a circle formation or something like that. Well, at least the shape was close to circle. And among these islands, there were some islands that were bigger than the others. On these islands, there were also some cities where many people in Continent X were living. Due to the terrains, they had to communicate with each other through internet and it would take some time to see face to face. This time, it was not an exception. Yes, Pena. It has been confirmed that there are 5 returnees from Continent Z along with another returnee from Continent W who stranded in Continent Z. The gloomy man, Pena, nodded and looked at the distance. 5 in Continent Z. How come you didn't manage to find other returnee in Continent W? Hearing his mocking tone, the higher-up was silent. They also wanted to find more returnee who could help them to fight against the magic beasts. But where could they find these returnees? Unless they didn't use their advantages, it should be easy to find them. Pena stood up and moved to the side. I'm sorry, Mr. Pena. There's no sign of other returnees in our continent. But there are also other news from Continent Y.
Continent Y.
Thinking of these two big continents having a lot of returnee, Pena could guess that the future confrontation would definitely be between these two continents. It was really annoying. How many? Chapter 579. Other returnees. 2. Yes. How many returnees are there in Continent Y that you have found so far? Pena repeated. His tone sounded even more dangerous than before. Yes, there are a total of 3 returnees from Continent Y, and there's a massive beast tide that happened on their place. One of them passed away in this attack, the higher-up replied. 3 returnees from Continent Y. 5 returnees from Continent Z. 2 returnees from Continent W. And 1 from Continent X. A total of 11 people have been found. Give me their information. Yes. Pena looked at the 3 people's name in front of him and rubbed his chin in contemplation. This dead woman's corpse. Bring her to me. The higher-up was stunned by Pena's request. Mr. Pena, she's in Continent Y and it's far away from here. There's no way we'll be able to get her. I don't care. Bring her body here. Yes. The higher-up cut off the connection afterward, and Pena sneered when he saw that. He didn't care too much about the attitude of these people and raised his hand. A skeleton hand handed over his notebook. This woman is a rare soul magician. Since she has passed away, I would like to use her bones and create a soul skeleton magician's. Pena's eyes burst out in brilliant light. If he could get his hand on her body, he was sure that his future skeletons would be very powerful and could use other magics. After all, his ability would depend on the materials used for his skeletons. There were a lot of limitation, but if he could get a very good materials, then it would not be an exaggeration for him to build a big army that was unmatched in the entire world. He. A wretched laugh came out from his place, and the other soldiers who were guarding shivered. They felt that the higher-ups were too much. Pena clearly didn't need any protection whatsoever. It was his enemies who needed to be warned about this treacherous man. Long distance away, Continent Y, one of the city base. Continent Y has a lot of land. Even though the land's shape was different from Continent Z, it was still a large continent. Because of this similarity, they also built bases on the destroyed cities after the earthquake was over. There were many bases, and each bases were named after the city's name. If one wanted to say, it was really similar to Continent Z. And recently, they somehow provoked a big battle with the magic beasts and attracted a large number of magic beasts to attack. Several bases were swarmed with magic beasts, and they had no other choice but to fight. Because if they were to run away, it meant that they had to abandon the base and the people who were living here. This was definitely impossible to do. There were thousands to 100,000s of people in all the bases that were attacked by the magic beast. So they had to call over the returnees to help guarding the base for a period of time. But it was impossible for these returnees to be so selfless and protected the base with all their lives. If the situation turned to be unfavorable to them, they would not hesitate to abandon the front line and sneaked away. After all, nothing is more important than their own lives. Or at least that was how it is for most of them. Ami died, a man said in deep voice when they rested for the night. There was only one large front line to face these magic beasts. A wall that was built to block the advance of the magic beasts. The 3 returnees all gathered here to fight together. Each of them would be responsible for one of the sides. Ha! A female voice answered him, and the woman who was sitting on the ground raised her head. She arched her eyebrows and sneered. I have told her countless times that she's too kind-hearted. What's the point of sacrificing her life for these rotten people? They were ordered by the higher-ups to help with the war and deal with the higher-ranked magic beasts in the magic beasts tide. This alone had made them very tired. Because for some reasons, there were higher-ranked magic beasts coming out up to rank 7 magic beasts. For them, whose highest rank was only rank 6, it was definitely a hassle to deal with a rank 7 magic beast. She has to deal with the rank 7 magic beast on her own. The man shook his head.
Stupidomi.
That's quite an evaluation coming from a guardian warrior, Naylan. The woman chuckled. There were many types of warrior that one could pursue. For example, Peter chose to be a pure physical warrior who would attack with his physical bodies at all times. There was also Ruth, who was more of a magic warrior, but her attack ability was that of an archer. Now, Naylan is a guardian warrior, whose path was that to protect those behind him. The choice of weapons were usually sword and a shield with variety of the shape and types of their shield and sword. Even if I'm a guardian warrior, I have no obligation to protect those whom I don't acknowledge, Naylan replied indifferently. Use your 5 magic elements. Navi. The woman, Navi, only smiled faintly and chuckled. You're as annoying as ever, cousin. The two of them were siblings, and it was also because of this that the two of them recognized each other instantly. Forming a team of 2, the two of them were famous in Continent Y because of their fighting capabilities. The higher-ups also came and asked them to fight for them. Of course, with some benefits offered to them. If I'm not your cousin, I would not bother to protect you, Naylan said coldly. How cold? Navi chuckled and then looked at the distance. But that's good enough. Chapter 580. Other Returnees 3. There were many magic beasts creeping closer in the middle of the night. After all, the war between them and the magic beasts were not over yet. They still have to fight if they wish to survive. Thankfully, the largest magic beast's tide had been dealt with not long ago. It was just a pity that the other returnee had to die. Not that they cared that much, though. Your mana has recovered? Naylan asked. He's a warrior while Navi is a magician. The two of them walked a completely different path, and what they needed to recover were also different. He needed to rest his physical strength while Navi needed to meditate and recover her mana. Almost. I'm only an early rank 6 magician and I have to deal with rank 7 magic beast. It's really not giving people any chance to live, Navi complained. Naylan sneered when he saw his cousin starting to act up again. He had seen Navi made trouble countless times in the past and used various means to achieve her goal. If he had to say, no one else in this world could compare to Navi's treacherousness. Of course, this was only his opinion. Heh, it's called having challenge. Naylan sneered. Navi rolled her eyes. If she had to choose, she would rather get opponent that she could deal with easily rather than these magic beasts that was higher than her own ranks. After all, she didn't want to die again. It would be difficult to deal with these high-ranked magic beasts. Of course, if the situation called for it, then Navi would definitely deal with these magic beasts and kill them as much as possible. Anyway, what do you want to do with her body? Navi ignored these magic beasts temporarily and looked at Ami's body that had been brought out. It was a pity that Ami died in this magic beast's tide. After all, every single one of them had different profession, and Ami is the only one who's a soul magician. A type of magician who focused on the power of their soul more than the power of their mana. Because of the difference with the regular magician's method, the soul magicians were relatively weaker in the early stage. It was also because of this situation that Ami was the weakest among the 3 of them. And when facing the magic beasts, she was also the one with the highest sense of responsibility. Adding these things one by one, which one of it is not the recipe to seek death? Bury and cremate her, Naylan replied. If you leave her be, she might be targeted by that pervert in Continent W. Pervert? Navi thought about it as she took out chewing gum and nodded. This was truly an appropriate description when she remembered how that man often dug out other people's grave. He's a pervert. A pervert who wanted other people's bones for the sake of his magic. I still can't believe that the one who's from our world is Pena. That **starred has made countless enemies because he had no taboo in digging up grave, Navi complained. She could remember various dramas because Pena dug out a certain powerhouse's relative's grave. Since they were all living in nearby areas, the two of them heard about Pena's deeds very often. In the end, Pena was hunted down by the relatives whose graves he had dug before. They could not stand seeing Pena using their dead relatives like that. I don't think Yui any better, Naylan replied. As the famous genius magician from the Red Tower, Navi was well known in that world. After all, there were not many people who had 5 elements, and all elements could be trained to high rank very quickly. Her achievement made many people jealous to death. And Navi herself didn't seem to care about them, and often flaunted her talent and strength. It was not surprising that many people hated her to death. Did you want to try my combination magic, Naylan? Navi asked in dangerous tone. She didn't mind giving a painful lesson to her cousin, so that he would not say anything unnecessary to her. Naylan looked at Navi and beckoned for her to come. I'm not afraid of you. The two of them were like a spear and a shield. One had the strong attack and the other had the strongest defense. To be honest, Navi thought of herself as the person with the highest attack. That was until she saw the picture of Samuel from Continent Z. Who didn't know this B***starred swordsman whose attack power was simply off the chart. Even though he was using the combination of magic and physical strength, he could defeat her easily. Their battle in that world had made Navi red-eyed in anger. She wanted to beat him up if possible. Back to the topic. Because the two of them followed a completely different path, they were not too afraid of each other. If Navi wanted to attack Naylan, she had to remember that Nolan's defense was frighteningly strong. So strong that one would want to curse him more than anything else. On the other hand, if Naylan wanted to attack Navi, he had to remember that his attack power was not even 10% of Navi's attack power. Even with her paper defense, he couldn't kill her. The two of them were simply the nemesis for each other. Considering that the two of them were also cousins, they chose to put down their weapons and didn't try to attack the other party. Tisk. Navi clicked her tongue and then asked, Is there any news from Continent Z? Naylan was directing the soldiers to cremate the body when he heard his cousin's question. He nodded. They have just experienced a magic beast's tide, and it has been confirmed that there are a total of 5 returnee on their side. 5? Damn it, they're really lucky.